Yo, what's going on? Hope you're doing well. Clips versus flat pedals is a very heavily debated topic in the mountain bike community, and without any question has been by far my most requested video over the last year. So today we're going to break it down and take a look at one aspect of this topic that I think no one ever talks about and is oftentimes overlooked. So let's get into it. To begin, here's a look at two different pedals. On the left, we have the Race Face Atlas pedal. I absolutely love these flat pedals. They've done me so well over the last year or so. And as you can see, it's just a traditional flat pedal meant to work with a more standard shoe. And now on the right, we have the Shimano XTR SPD pedal with its SPD system in the middle. And these are a clipless option meant to go with a clipless shoe. For a look at the shoes, these are the Fox Union shoes on the left. We have the clipless version in the lace iteration with the SPD cleat on the bottom. And on the right, we have the Fox Union, the lace as well. However, this just has the standard flat sole meant to go with that Race Face Atlas pedal. So what are some basic pros and cons? Well, with the flat pedal, your biggest pro is that you're able to just simply step off the pedal. You're not clipped in, there's nothing harnessing you to the pedal. So if you're uncomfortable in a certain section of trail, or maybe you just want to do a run-in and then stop before a certain feature, you're able to just take your foot off. Additionally, if you're into doing tricks, doing things like 360s and no cans are a lot easier on a flat pedal, of course. Now, all of this comes at the expense of pedaling efficiency. You just simply are not as efficient pedaling with a flat pedal. On the contrary to this, with a clip-in pedal, you're able to gain a lot of pedaling efficiency by being clipped and stuck to the pedal. However, because of that, you're not able to just step off the pedal as easily. I will say that with time, clipping out becomes a lot easier than when you first start. However, that can be seen as a bit of a downside depending on your riding style. With the basic pros and cons of both the flat pedals and the clip pedals now introduced, let's take a look at where I use both. So here's my trail bike. It's a freshie, just built it up, Ibis HD6, so stoked on this thing. And on this bike, I have opted for the Shimano Saint clipless pedals. These are my favorite Shimano SPD pedals. I think they're so great. I like the big platform with the pins. And the reason that I have them mounted up on this bike is for, as we discussed, the increased pedaling efficiency. And also, I love being locked in on my feet to the bike for when I'm smashing rocks, either here in southern Utah on some of the more rocky trails, or when I'm traveling and riding bike parks. Having your feet locked in on the bike just gives you so much more control and confidence, and it's just one less thing to think about. Taking a look now at my downhill bike, 99% of the time, these Race Face Atlas pedals live on here. My reasoning for this is I ride a ton of super sketchy freeride lines on this bike, and sometimes you just need to dab a foot, and if you couldn't, you might go tumbling off a cliff. Additionally, I really like doing tricks like 360s and Nova cans on this bike, and for those specific instances, you really do need flat pedals. Now, when I do ride this bike at the bike park, I will put the Saint clipless pedals on this bike for the same reasons that I discussed before, just for the added control, riding rocky trails, smashing rocks. It's just one less thing to think about. Now, with that said, you definitely can ride that type of terrain on a flat pedal. It can just be a little bit more challenging at times. It should also be mentioned that if you start riding with clipless pedals right away, that can lead to some bad riding habits, such as not weighting your pedals correctly. So learning to ride on flat pedals first can actually be a huge benefit and something I'd really recommend. Now that we've taken a look at some of the pros and the cons of flat and clipless pedals and where I use both, I want to discuss one aspect of clipless pedals in particular that I think is 100% often overlooked. And for me, that is how much creativity the clipless pedals give you out on the trails. When I first switched to clipless pedals, it had nothing to do with the pedaling efficiency. To be honest with you, I was just living at a bike park and I wanted more control over the bike to pull for things like big trail gaps and just use some more traditional features in more unique ways. So let's break down some examples. In this first example, I'm at Highland Mountain Bike Park riding their famous trail, Any Style. This is on the lower section of the trail, which rides right underneath the trail lift. So in between every single lap, you can take a look at the section. And I had always looked at these two rollers in particular. You're coming out of a big sweeping right-hand corner, and it is quite the pull for the first two rollers of a 3-roller section. Most people who are more advanced at the bike park will roll the first roller out of the berm and double the next two before the little jump. However, I looked at the section and I was like, heck, I want to pull the first two. I have done this on flat pedals in the past, however, it was super aggressive, and in this particular clip that is on the screen right now, I did do this gap with clip pedals, and it just gave me way more pop off the lip and made the gap a lot more pleasant. In this second example, I'm riding the trail 36 chambers at Trestle Bike Park, and in this particular instance, the clip pedals allow me to go up the face of the jump a little bit slower than I would be to actually clear the jump, and it allows me to manual tap the knuckle of the landing and then pop a Euro table out of that little manual tap. This is something that personally I don't think I could actually even do on flat pedals, and it allows me to take what I would just see as a traditional bike park feature and make something way cooler out of it, in my opinion, of course. Two riders in particular who really inspire me for their use of clip and pedals and their just riding in general are Braden Bringhurst and Mitch Ropolato. Both of those dudes absolutely rip and are so creative on their bikes, and there are many clips and a lot of the video projects that they do that I think are only possible because of their confident use of the clip and pedals. Overall, I think whether you're more of a fan of the flat pedal or the clip and pedal really doesn't matter as long as you're enjoying mountain biking. There are clear pros and cons to each. However, I do think that once you become more confident on a flat pedal, if you're willing to take the clipless pedal for a test drive, it's definitely worth it. It opens up a world of possibilities. It can make a more mundane trail just so much more exciting, maybe even your local trails, and it's definitely worth a shot. Thank you so much for watching this week's video and this episode of Shop Talk. I really appreciate the support, and we'll catch you in the next one. Peace.